Welcome to Confessions of a Small Biz Mama, episode 22. 7 steps for setting healthy boundaries with clients. I think we all have this client where you get the text message or the email or, the Facebook Messenger message. And you kind of go, ugh, it's that client. And it's probably because of the way the client reached out, right? Maybe they called at an appropriate time, or they have unrealistic expectations of how long it should take you to communicate back to them, or they expect you to reply on the weekends or nights. That's typically, I find, when we have the greatest strife with clients, right? It's typically when clients have unrealistic boundaries with us, right? Basically, they've encroached in on the boundaries that we wish to have. And I find that often happens because we don't set up boundaries at all, right? We just assume that there are rules for communication. However, I found, especially the more like multi-generational research that I do, expectations are different depending on the generation you're working with, men versus women. And so I think that in order for us to maintain healthy boundaries, we have to put boundaries in place to begin with, right? So that people understand these are my rules, right? Because society's rules are no longer the same, right? So, I think, I'm 40, okay? I think that it has been a general rule, and I don't know, maybe this is just the way I grew up, but you don't call people after 9 o'clock, unless you're a teenager and you're calling your teenage friends. But that rule, now it's funny because with younger people, you don't call at all. That it's really interesting with younger folks, and I'm talking like teenage to early 20s. They believe that you don't call people because calling people puts people on the spot. And they have to direct all their attention toward you. And so they're much more likely to text message, to use WhatsApp, to use other apps for communication where the communication is written. And you are not on the spot to formulate an answer. Plus, you can communicate with multiple people at the same time versus just one. So that's really interesting, right? Especially if you're a little bit older, you're like, really? Because a lot of times it's funny. I hate the back and forth that goes with texting and emails, and that just drives me crazy. I'd much rather get on the phone and be like, all right, what's going on? How do we fix this? What's the deal? Let's, set this up. And that's why, I really love my calendar, service that I use Book Like a Boss, because I can just be like, here's my link, book. I don't have to say this, these are the 4 options. Oh, none of those work for you, and go back and forth. I hate back and forth. I just want to get it done, right, and get it off my list. But that's the thing with me, right? So, so let's talk about 7 steps for setting healthy boundaries with your clients. Okay. Now, you might be thinking I'm a new business owner. How do I know what this should look like? So the first step is to conduct an audit. Okay. And this means what I want you to do is I want you to think about the situations where people or situations cause you stress or anxiety. And I want you to track these for a little while. What you're trying to do is you're trying to say, these are the things that kind of trigger me, that annoy me, that piss me off. These are the ways in which, my clients invade my boundaries, right? So the first thing is just to have that audit, okay? You can also do, like, if you know that there are things like, I don't want anybody to call me after 9 o'clock. I don't want anybody to call me at all. I think that those are the really important things, okay? So once you've conducted your audit, now you're going to set your limits, right? So your limits are going to be, the important limits are, how do you want to be communicated with? When do you want to be communicated with? What is the reasonable expectation for how long it's going to take you to get back to someone? It's funny because, like, we run an online business and we run ads 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so people just expect, like, there's going to be a person to answer their questions all the time. Yeah, that's not how it works, because we value, as a company, we value time off. And so it was kind of funny because we were planning a live launch. And normally, the last time we did one, we ran it so that people could buy over the weekend. And the problem with that is that it causes, there's lots of emails and communications and people have questions, and it's like, I don't want our team to have to work on the weekend. Like, I pop into our Facebook group and whatever, but I don't want my team to have to work on the weekend. So we moved the sale, right? We moved this live launch to a Monday. And that's really not what people typically do. People do them on the weekends because there are more people paying attention on the weekends. There are fewer people working on the weekends. But for me, I believe that our team deserves to have their weekends with their family. And eventually, we'll grow to the point that we'll have coverage on the weekends and we'll hire people specifically for that. But right now, the people who work with us, they have families. And I want them to be there for their families on the weekends. So that's one of my limits. So yeah. And now here's the thing, right? When you set limits, you need to be prepared for the fact that there are people who aren't going to work with you because you have these limits. It is just a cost of doing business. It is a cost of keeping your sanity. If you'd like to keep your sanity, you need to set limits. Okay, so once you have those limits, you're going to communicate them clearly. Okay, so we put all of this together in something called a How I Work document, and you're basically going to put, these are my rules. This is how you should contact me. And the cool thing is that once you start doing this, so your legacy clients, right, your older clients, your existing clients are going to have all the ways to communicate with you. Any new clients going forward, they're only going to get these communication methods, which is great. Okay. So, it's going to take some time to kind of get everybody on board. And I mean, it's funny because I still have some clients that, like, even though we have the thing in place, like, I say, don't text me. I have people who text me. And so what I do is when they text me, I email them back. And some of it drives them crazy. Because, like, why can't you just text me back? And I'm like, because texting is how I communicate with my family and friends. And there is an unrealistic expectation when people text about how quickly you'll get back to them. And they go, oh, yeah, I get that. Okay. And so sometimes it's having those conversations. So you want to communicate it really quickly. And then if a boundary gets violated, you need to address it right away. Okay. And here's the thing. It is this is a document that's going to change, that's going to evolve. And every time you make changes to the document, right? And listen, I would, don't make changes every week. Maybe you sit down like once a quarter and you update the document and you make sure that everything still works okay. And you send a copy to your existing clients. Hey, we've made some changes to the How I Work document. Wanted to make sure that, you still have this handy, and just send it out on a regular basis. Because again, you're enforcing, hey, remember, these are my boundaries. You agree to these boundaries as my client. And people ask me, when do you send this out when you're getting a new client? So you can send this out with the proposal or with your contract. Now, it's funny because I kind of go back and forth with this. If you have anything in there that you think is going to be a deal breaker for people. So for example, like if you're just starting your business and your business requires a lot of communication with your clients, but you're only available in the evenings because you have a job or you have other obligations, that might be a deal breaker for somebody. So you may want to include the How I Work document with your proposal. If you don't believe that there's anything in there that's a deal breaker, then you can send it with your contract. So if you've talked about, if you talk about this as part of your process, then I would say you can submit it with the contract. But if there are things in there that you believe, like if you normally have a very, high contact industry and you're a no contact person, then that's something that has to go out with your proposal. Okay. I think that's just critically important. Okay. So the next thing, number 4, is you want to take time to respond. Okay. If you're the type of person that like responds, yes, we will do this. Yes, I will do that. Yes, I will respond. Take time to respond. What I've started doing is I respond to my business email once a day. I have an assistant who goes through, my email. If there's anything that's really, really hot, that's really important, she'll handle that for me. She'll ask me questions if needed, but even like client questions once a day. There is nothing that is going to happen that is going to burn down and be on fire. And my clients know, like, they can pick up the phone and they can call me if there's something that needs an immediate, an immediate response. My cell phone number is in, my email signature that my clients get. They can call me if there's something that, like, say they're at the bank and the banker's asking them something, they don't know the answer, they can pick up the phone and call me. I also use something called Voxer for like more immediate, things. So, if you have a question, but even that, like a lot of times my phone is on Do Not Disturb. So, but if a client gives me a heads up saying, hey, I'm going to the bank tomorrow, there might be questions my banker has. Will I be able to reach out to you? Like, I appreciate when clients are proactive, and that's something that you can put in your document. Like, hey, if you're going to the bank and you're going to need information, or, if you're going to be talking to somebody about your business and you think you're going to, have a question, let me know ahead of time that you have that meeting. And I will do my best to make sure that my phone is on and I'm available in case you have a phone call, in case you need something. I think that that's a really good way to kind of handle that. Again, something that you can address in your How I Work document. Okay. Practice saying no. This is number 5. And there's lots of ways that you can practice saying no. You can say, like, one of the best ways to practice saying no, if you are in the mall, Okay. And you know how there are those vendors in the mall that want to like spray something at you or give you a sample or, put lotion in your hand? Say no. Like, don't just kind of like wave them off and ignore them, right? Because that's what we typically do, right? Typically, you just kind of practice saying no. Say, no, thank you. I'm good. And just keep walking. When you're offered dessert, when you go out to eat, say no. There are lots of little ways that you can say no on a regular basis that I think often we just kind of like ignore. And so I think that's a really good way to kind of practice. Okay. One strategy that I really like, and I got this from a podcast, I believe it was Michael Hyatt, or it might have been one of Michael Hyatt's books. But he said you want to do the yes, no, yes approach. So if somebody asks you for something that you don't want to do, or, if somebody is trying to like encroach, you want to do a yes, no, yes approach. So I get approached a lot from people that want to have coffee with me. People want to hop on a Zoom with me to pick my brain. And so, it typically is, I just need 10 minutes of your time. So there's a couple different ways that you can deal with that. So the yes, no, yes approach is when you say, hey, that's great. Because typically people are like, hey, I'm starting a new business. Hey, I'm starting a new venture. Hey, I'm starting this new thing. You say, hey, congratulations on your whatever it is, right? That's so awesome. That's your yes, right? You're acknowledging, hey, that's awesome. Yay. Okay. That's your yes. Unfortunately, I don't have the extra time in my schedule to meet with you, regarding this. That's your no. Okay. And then your next yes could be a free opt-in you have. It could be a podcast episode. It could be a blog post. It could be a book that you really like, so you could say, hey, congratulations on your new venture. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to do a discovery call with you right now. However, I found this book is really helpful. Okay. Or this podcast is really helpful. Or here is, I hate like referring them to another person, right? Especially if I don't think it's a paid engagement. So usually I'll send them to something that's pretty low cost. Okay. But that's a really, really good way to say no. The yes, no, yes approach is fantastic. The other way that you could deal with that is you could say, unfortunately, my only, or you could say, hey, that's great. Here are my options. And then what you do is you send them to your booking link where they have to pay to book with you. And they have to pay when they book with you. So that's kind of the other option for something like that. It depends on what your schedule is and what your time is, right? And what you want to do. So, but I really like the yes, no, yes approach. That I think that works really, really well. And typically when you do it that way, people they'll respect you, right? And they got an acknowledgement from you, and that helps. So I think that's a really good thing to do. You want to make sure that you create structure around yourself, right? So that means that you have ways for people, existing clients to book meetings with you. You really have structure in your calendar. When you're meeting with people, there's an agenda for what you're going to talk about. It's not just kind of a booked meeting. I'm always looking, it's funny because working for a university, I see that there are a lot of meetings that don't need to be meetings, right? So when I'm looking when I'm looking for meetings should be very interactive. They should be opportunities for us to brainstorm and create processes and things you can't do outside a meeting. I don't like meetings that are information dissemination. That could be a video, that could be a memo, that could be an email. And so when I'm looking at how I'm communicating with clients, with team members, just in general, is there a better way to communicate this information than what we're doing? Okay. And also create structure in your own life. I find that the more structured I am, right? So I plan out my days, I plan out my weeks. When I do that, I find that it's easier for me to say no, because there really is no time in my schedule for those little things that distract me, right? So when I clearly have like, okay, this is time I have to meet with existing clients, this is time I have to meet with new clients if I'm taking on new clients, then when these little random, requests come in for, to pick my brain, or, we always have people that are trying to sell us stuff here as we're growing the business. I just don't have time for that. There's no slots for that, right? And so having that structure in place really helps. And then, the one thing that you need to do is you need to prepare for pushback. There are going to be people that are going to be annoyed, especially I find with existing clients. They're going to be annoyed when you put those boundaries in place. When that happens, that's a sign that you're doing the right thing. Right? If they're constantly pushing back, going, hey, I want to be able to, call you whenever I want or text you whenever I want, you're doing the right thing. Okay. Boundaries are healthy. Boundaries are necessary. And if you're in a period in your life, especially with everything going on with COVID, when you're in that period where you just feel like, everything is spinning out of control and people are just coming at you, boundaries are incredibly important. So I hope you'll try this out. I hope you'll try to put some boundaries in place in your own business and in your own life. Because sometimes we need to do it in our lives too, right? Hey, I work in the morning, so I'm not going to take personal phone calls from family. Ask people to respect that. Boundaries are just a critical part of life. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. This was a really good book that helped me when I was first putting this structure in place, not only for business, but also personal. Okay. So hopefully you find that helpful. Again, that's going to be at smallbizmama.com. Click on podcast, and you can check out the show notes for this episode. This is episode, and click on the show notes for episode 22. Wow, I can't believe we're already at episode 22. That is just amazing. Wow, 22. So I want to thank you all so much for subscribing to the show, sharing the show, telling your friends about it. That's really, really helpful when you have a podcast, because it helps other people find the show. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing to support the show. Keep it up. The best thing that you can do is subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review, because that helps other people find the show. And when they read your reviews, they're like, oh yeah, okay, this sounds good. This is a show for me. So we appreciate you so much. Mamas, I love you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.